submitted to the organizers of the event. The 60 or so people who were at that meeting were unanimously opposed to the project. They were mostly well, I think that's an overstatement. Most of the ones that spoke were opposed. There were some others there, but
I think most of the others were opposed too, they just didn't speak.
well,
A couple I talked with
I
anyway.
should be careful,
Yeah.
but those that spoke,
Yeah.
spoke opposed to it, and they were, most of those who spoke were people that live in that area, in that neighborhood, and they're used to a rural lifestyle. Some of them talked about their animals, they talked about strollers on roads with their kids, and they talked about the difference that increased truck traffic on Crafton Road would make to their neighborhood. The curve that's right at the town line between Lauderdale and Oakland was mentioned. The condition of the Crafton Road was described. And so all of those comments were duly noted and will be entered into the record. I think the purpose of the public hearing was for those comments to be made, and they heard them. And I'm not sure there was a lot of resolution at the meeting, but it was an opportunity to talk about it in a public way.
The purpose of that meeting though was strictly for the environmental impact statement for that road. And there was nobody that spoke that wanted to talk about the environmental impact at all. They wanted to talk about the impact for their neighborhood mostly. And there was one lady mentioned 2 different kinds of birds that might be affected. Other than that, was no environmental discussion. It was basically the
That's right.
lifestyle change and the traffic and all that to the, and after the meeting, I wished we'd asked Peter if there was any Oakland Crafton Road area residents. Did you recognize anyone there that from the Oakland end?
No.
I didn't. I don't know anybody that lives on the Oakland end of it, so I wish we'd known afterwards that all of them that spoke seemed to be from the Wildland
Yes.
on the other side of the freeway. And,
Yes.
but I didn't know if there was any from our end of the road there or not.
But that was the upshot of it, and I think I heard that by the time the process has, completed itself, is the 2017 construction, is that what I heard?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
If it happens, so it's ways off. So I just wanted to mention that you'd asked us to go, and it was a pleasure to be there with Dana that evening, and
One other thing I might mention that was a surprise to us though was there seemed to be no consideration at all for rebuilding any of the Trafton Road, right? Did I write that note down right?
it was said twice
Yeah.
that there were no plans in place to undertake improvements to the Crafton Road. They did indicate that the municipalities would be relieved of the responsibility for capital improvements. They said that twice.
Yeah,
But they said there were no plans.
and that
So-
kind of shocked the people there that they don't want it to start with, but they were really shocked to find out they hadn't even considered repairing or rebuilding the road if they do it.
And my own observation is if you evaluate the Crafton Road in its current condition as a way to relieve traffic on KMD, one could only ask how much relief could it provide?
Yeah, safely.
Well, but I'll stop there.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting.
I have a letter that made it into your packet, copies made it into your packet from the Maine Department of Environmental Protection. And it is a notice that we will be receiving $18,038.05 as reimbursement for repairs that were made to the Oakland landfill back in the summer of 2012, it was. Apparently they determined that all of that work, which they required us to do, was subject to 90% reimbursement from a source of money that they have there in Augusta. So I guess if we're receiving $18,000 or $16,000 from Maine DEP, that's better than fine. So that's good news. And then the last piece.
Peter,
Yes, sir.
where does that money go? Does it go to the transfer station or just the general fund?
Yeah, you authorized us, at the time that expense came up, and you determined that that repair was something that the town was gonna do. You authorized us to take that from a landfill reserve that was set up years ago to deal with landfill closure costs. And so I proposed to you that we put this money back where it came from, even if it is 90%. It would be good to restore that fund, because sooner or later there will be further expenditures for the town out there at the closed landfill and the open landfill further back out. So I think it's good news.
Excellent.
And then lastly, I had something that came just, I think, Monday from the Maine Municipal Association, looking for nominations to the MMA Legislative Policy Committee. And Don Borman, I think, took over for Ralph Farnham when Ralph left the council. And Don isn't here to ask if he's interested, but there may be other members of the council who would like to put their names forward for that. But I have this letter, and they need to know, let me see if I can tell you when they'd like to know. By June 19th. So we could bring this up again at the next meeting if you'd like to think about it. And maybe we can ask Don whether he is or isn't interested in continuing as part of the answer. But it did, does that sound all right to hang on to that
I'm
for?
fine with me. Mike was interested at the
Mike,
time too.
I
think.
know.
See what Don's still doing it, so we'll see what he's doing. And
Well,
if he isn't, then I'll go back and throw my hat in the ring. I'll see if he wants to continue doing it.
is a satisfactory way to handle that, Mr. Chairman?
Good
Okay,
idea.
okay,
I think it's a good idea. We should, if he wants to continue on, let him continue on.
okay. Well, then we'll bring that up at the next meeting. And that's all I had for you tonight.
Mr. Wrigley, did you have anything, sir?
I have none. Yesterday I attended the Kennebec Valley Council of Governments Board of Directors meeting. They went over the budget. Revenues for them were up by $15,000, but because of change in their accounting, their overall budget was down by $78,000, and that has to do with grants that come through their organization and are given out to towns. They no longer consider that revenue. So it was an interesting concept. So Rosie is going, she's finishing out her first year there, and she's going through the budget, and she's doing things her way, and the board's way, and it's good. Kelly Roderick, just before the meeting, said that she could not attend our meeting, but she sent me a email message, and this is what the message says. Can you ask for the speed limit sign to be placed near the Williams School to remind folks to slow down? They're going way too fast before and after school during drop-offs and pickups. The smooth tracks are allowing them to go faster than the posted speed. Someone is going to get hurt. Is that an issue that we have any control or say over?
Replacement of the signs?
Yeah.
Replacement of the signs. Sometimes signs move. Is there a recommendation from the council?
I think there's a speed limit sign, there is, and it says a school slow down sign. I think probably the better thing to do, instead of, is ask Oakland PD to put their mobile radar sign out, because it is posted by the corner store, and it's posted down here just before the railroad tracks, or just after the railroad tracks, is the school zone sign, 15 miles an hour. And I know one of the signs is run, when he said that, I was thinking which sign got run over this year. Dodge truck lost control one day and ran right over one of the signs. And I don't remember what sign it was, but, so, I drive up there every day.
There's one just as you turn to the bus garage,
Right
it ran
there.
over this window.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
So I don't remember. But maybe Oakland PD could put their flashing sign up, their speed limit sign. And it's hard for people to get going that fast during school time because traffic's backed up bumper to bumper. But we've already tried to call in the superintendent and that didn't work for us. So, next, Mark, anything else?
That's it.
I just think the best thing there is just.
That's a good suggestion, that can help calm traffic in that section of town.
Yeah, she seemed to be more concerned with the traffic coming over the railroad crossing and because it's so smooth there now, and it's traditionally bumpy.
Yeah, boy, wasn't it rough. It was terrible. Mr. Wrigley?
I think Peter's little discussion in the paper about the importance of our town meeting must have worked. We had 130 people there, and Peter did a good job during the meeting, I think, to answer any questions that come up. I noticed in the paper it said Fairfield only had 45 at their meeting. Another issue we brought up once before, Peter, was the road at First Park where they're using it to go down back and run their four-wheel drive trucks and stuff. I noticed the other day, I was in there for a doctor's appointment, and they had mud tracks clear out to the main road there. And I noticed in the police log that they've been called out there recently for four-wheel drive trucks mudding down back there somewhere. And I know you've mentioned it to Brad Johnson, and he didn't feel appropriate to do anything, but to me, if he's trying to market that property to someone, and they go in there and see that there's vandalism going on, I wouldn't build a building in there if I saw that, you know, if I put my building way down here and they can't even keep the four-wheel drive trucks from driving on their property and tracking mud out through the place, maybe it's not a good place to have a building. And I think it'd be worth another mention to him someday that it would make that property look more valuable if they weren't tracking mud all up through the road from where they're not supposed to be. I think some well-placed rocks would help. That's the only thing I had.
Okay.
Couple things I wanna know about the line delineator. Are they coming back this year? Over here at the intersection?
I'll have to ask, that was a
just
DOT
such a
thing.
good thing that
I'll ask about
Great.
that.
That was awesome.
Okay,
Because I come through there all the time, people stopping there. Another thing I just wanna let everyone know, on the 21st of the month, they have what they call the walking school bus. And all the buses that have any children going down to the Atwood School are going to be pulling over into where Fabian has his dirt yard. And they'll let the kids out there, and the kids are going to walk from there. They got a grant for that from Play 60, Play It Again 60, or whatever it is. And so they can walk, the kids, get a little exercise, and try to promote more walking for the kids. So you're gonna see that on the 21st. So if you're headed up by Fabian Oil on the 21st in the morning, it'll be very congested and very confusing. So, and just giving you a heads up on that. So it's called Walking School Bus. That's on the 21st. So,
good heads up.
other than that, I didn't have anything. John, did you have anything tonight? Brother? Thank you for coming.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second it?
All in favor? Good night, folks, and thank you for coming.